Man, that shaitan's probably kicking his legs on the ground by now. Yeah? Then get up and do the adhan or something. Then shaitan will, I tell you, I'll be honest, Hadith of Tirmidhi it says, yeah, when you give the adhan, the shaitan, he not only runs, but the hadith says, lahu durat. You know what durat is? Durat is, he runs, and as he's running, yeah, his fart comes out. Lahu durat. I'm not making this in the hadith. He will not see you. You're in the toilet, shaitan can't see you anymore. That's in a hadith, right? If you don't say the dua, what happens is the shaitan not only comes inside, but the hadith of Tirmidhi says he plays with your bowels. He plays with your bowels. So you're inside there, you're thinking you're going to be out there in 5 minutes. He's taking you 20 minutes and you're still not halfway there. You know why? Because shaitan is going, ooh, la la. See, the hadith told you, the hadith says to us, he plays with your bowels. Yal'abu, he plays with your bowels.
Surah 9 verse 29. So when you read a verse like this, according to David, which teaches to fight against disbelievers, well, Islam looks aggressive, Islam looks violent. And you know, I actually looked up that verse, and I'd like to read for it to you, and let me tell you what it really says here. It says, and fight those who believe not in Allah in the last day. Hold on a second. This must be some mistake here. I think this is just a typo, I think. Let me check it out. I actually have a Quran. Let me check it up on my Quran. This is obviously a typo. We're going to get down to the bottom of this. All right. David, it doesn't say that. It says fight those who believe not in Allah in the last day. Well, can we change the topic to what we all have in common? No! That's actually a much better topic, don't you think? I mean, actually, because we do have a lot in common. With the moderator, would that be okay? We could just change that topic? No.
You do agree that the sonship of Jesus was pushed back because, again, like I said...
Pushed back?
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. In the Gospel of Mark, obviously Jesus becomes the Son of God when he's baptized.
That is
right.
I do not accept that for a second.
And then in the Gospel of Matthew,
he is proclaimed to be the Son of God at the baptism, just as he is in Matthew and Luke. That in no way, shape, or form in the early church would have meant that that's when he became the Son of God. That adoptionist error was refuted for a long time, and just simply assuming that the New Testament can be cut into pieces and treating it a way you would never allow me to treat the Quran demonstrates that, once again, my friend, you are using one standard for the New Testament that you would never allow to be used with the Quran. Inconsistency is a sign of a failed argument.
We know where the Quran came from. It came from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We don't know where the New Testament Gospels came from.
But there are all sorts of scholars that question that, sir. There are all sorts of...
Can you name me one?
Certainly. Garrett Quinn. You want me to name one? Do you know why he might be relevant? Because he is the one that the Yemeni government hired to collate the Sa'ana manuscript find when it was found in the Grand Mosque in Sa'ana.
Okay, Dr. White, I'm going to ask you to stick on the topic on who was Jesus. We're more than welcome.
Throughout the length and breadth of the 27 books of the New Testament, there is not a single statement made by Jesus Christ that I was dead and I have come back from the dead. We have been beating. Jesus Christ never uttered that word that I have come back from the dead. In the 27 books of the New Testament, not once. He was there with them for 40 days and he never uttered that statement.
I'm not sure that I heard myself. You said nowhere in the 27 books of the New Testament did Jesus ever say he was dead and alive. May I read to you from the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 18? He said, I am the living one. I was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore.
holes in it, holes. It's very clear to you and to every single very advanced student and specialist that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say. The standard narrative does not answer some very pressing questions. Holes.
If you look just at the Quran, you will get the indication that you can have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran at all. If you just read the Quran, it is halal, it would be halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. Chapter 65, verse 4. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us who you can divorce and who you cannot divorce. And then he says, وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ, and the ones who had never been pubescent before. And by the way, this is very important, yeah? I want all Muslims to be aware of this. The reason why we don't have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds or whatever is not because of puberty. Wait a minute, what did you say? It's not because of puberty, because that verse in the Quran actually says lam yahid. They never had puberty before. You can't go around that. The Quran doesn't say anywhere in the Quran that the woman has to be pubescent. I dare you to find one verse in the Quran where it says you're not allowed to marry someone based on harm, or you're not allowed to have sexual intercourse based on harm, or you're not allowed to marry someone based on puberty. Get me one verse in the Quran which says the woman has to be pubescent. You know, in the Quran it says حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ. It says you're not allowed to marry your mum. It says you're not allowed to marry your sister, your auntie. Where does it say you're not allowed to marry a prepubescent? I'm looking for one verse that you can say, you pinpoint it and say this is where it says prepubescent marriage or whatever is not allowed. So if you're Quran alone, you're steered towards pedophilia, and a severe type of pedophilia, a wife abuse, a severe type of wife abuse.
أولا نحن الآن في أين؟ نذهب إلى مطار الشارقة، نريد أن نذهب إلى الصين بالطيارة. واضح؟ ركزوا معي. هذه الأرض إذا قلتم أنها تدور، إذا خرجنا من مطار الشارقة برحلة دولية إلى الصين، الأرض تدور صح؟ طيب لو وقفت الطائرة في السماء أليست الصين تأتي؟ صح ولا لا؟ تدور، تأتي الصين ولا ما تأتي؟ طيب لو كانت الشمس الأرض تدور هكذا، لو تمشي الطيارة ما أدري كم تمشي لن تستطيع أن تلحق الصين، لأن الصين تدور وأنت تدور، ولن تستطيع أن تصل إلى الصين لأنك تدور وهي تدور، فكيف تصل إلى الصين؟
I knew I was going to have to give you a free Arabic lesson here today. I knew it. And that's why the translators put for, not to the Prophet. You don't know what the words in Arabic mean. Don't speak salah. Come on, please, don't embarrass yourself.
According to Mr. Hijab, what did I say?
And he's here saying that he prays to the Prophet.
What did I actually say multiple times?
Surely Allah and His angels pray for the Prophet. Allah and His angels pray for the Prophet.
What's the correct translation?
And that's why the translators put for, not to the Prophet.
So Allah prays for Muhammad is the correct translation?
For, not to the Prophet.
Any person that misses one salah, one, not two, one salah, you miss one salah for no reason. You're worse than a murderer, you're worse than a rapist, you're worse than a terrorist, you're worse than a pedophile in the eyes of Allah.
The Catholic Church was in business about 300 years before Jesus was born. It's on their website. Don't go like this. It's on their website. That's where I took it from. The Catholic Church was really started in Rome by Alexander the Great.
Did you catch that? So
Yes.
the Catholic Church was in business 3 centuries before Christ and was founded in Rome by Alexander the Great. So,
I wonder what Alexander was doing in Rome.
yeah,
No, it's just completely ignorant. It's not just, it's like, he just doesn't know. He's like, that is one of the stupidest things I've heard in a long time. That Alexander the Great started the Roman Catholic Church in Rome? What?
I mean, okay, just ask him to read a book about Alexander the Great sometime. how much time he spent in Rome, and how could what's he even think? What? I mean, it's like, no, I'm sorry, that's way down there in the realm of stupidity. It's just, why do people do this in public? At least read something.